Well, it is a beautiful morning here in Cardiff, New York. We are moving the frac tank from one location to another, and the 8120 is a little light on the front end coming up this hill, and the frac tank is just about gonna scrub the road. It just made it. You can see the front tires on that tractor barely have any weight on them. That tank is pretty heavy. On the 3-point hitch here, so we ended up moving it. We're on the east side of Bear Mountain. We ended up moving it from a little side road there, and we're taking it over to the old cow barn here. Well, we just got back here. We're moving the frac tank, and we're getting a downpour right at the moment. One crew is spreading in camellis. Jared called a minute ago, said they got rained out. I said, well, it looks good here. I said, the storm threat's over in a few minutes. No more than I got off the phone with him. It starts downpouring. It looks like this is gonna be short-lived, but it doesn't matter. We're inside here. So what we're doing now is we're getting ready to take off the fertilizer pump and this whole mechanism here. I have spent a good, hour maybe? Going down through torquing these U-bolts. What a pain in the butt. So we've got the row units torqued down, and I've got to go through and torque down the assembly here that holds the closing wheels. So like I said, we're getting ready to take that fertilizer unit off of there so we can bolt on the variable rate unit, which is going to be hydraulically driven. Sarah's got the manifolds off that went to this old system here, and there was a manifold on this wing, another manifold down there on that wing there. Now, we're saving these parts, like the manifolds. We'll save that pump. We're saving all of the check valves, everything like that. And like I said in the previous video, if there's anything of any value here or anything that anybody needs, just let me know. I mean, them pumps right there with this crazy environment that we're in, if anybody watching, that'll work on a 12-row planter as well. It'll even probably work on a 6 or an 8-row. You would just have to, well, I don't know, you'd have to check into that. But at any rate, just email me, get a hold of me. Pennies on the dollar for that stuff. So we'll touch base with you in a few minutes here. I'm gonna jump down on a creeper, tighten up these 12mm bolts that are on the closing wheel frames. Actually, I need to go through and tighten up the bolts on the row cleaners. Now, we were putting the row cleaners on last night, and we get down to the last box. I said, you know, we need to video the last couple going on. I get the camera out. Sarah opens the box up, the last box, and there was only one row cleaner in it. There was 2 per box. And the last one over in there somewhere only had 1 row cleaner in it and only had 1 set of bolts. The other thing is there's 4 12mm carriage bolts that hold the row cleaners on, and they only have packaged 3 per row unit. I don't know what the heck that's all about, but of course I have not read any of the directions. I've just looked at pictures, and there's very nice color photos. I was going to dial up my iPad here and I would show you that, but I'll drop a link in the description. It'll be a PDF file for the actual directions on how this update kit all goes on this planter. There's 434 pages on everything but the variable rate fertilizer unit, and then there's another 180 or 90 or something like that for putting the fertilizer unit on there. So of course all we're going to do is look at a few pictures and try to figure it out as we go here, right? So we're going to be getting to the hard part here maybe later this afternoon, but like I said, we're holding on to these parts. We're putting stuff in boxes so that, you know, the fertilizer stuff is going to go in one box. She's got the manifolds here, and I don't know if there's enough room. We'll probably put the pump itself in a separate box, but I better get at it, right? Yeah. How do you like that fertilizer? Getting that stuff on you. Really fun, huh? Yeah. So, alrighty. We'll come join back with you in a little while here. Well, that's what this unit looks like off of there. We're just going to kind of set a few things back in place. If this ends up going on to another planter, it's going to have to be kind of disassembled like it is anyways. So we'll set that on a pallet and we'll get that stored away. Alright, things look a little different from when we talked to you last here. We ended up getting the surface drive wheel fertilizer unit off, took the framework off of there. That's sitting on the pallet here, and we've got the new one that is going to go on there. We have also removed some of the wiring harnesses, took all of the end furrow tubes off, all the fertilizer tubes that went down to the fertilizer openers up front. We've got some more wiring to pull off of it. We've got this main harness here that goes down in through this frame rail, and then there's another one on the other side, and then we've got the harness that goes up through and it plugs into a control unit. One of them plugs into a control unit on one side, the other one plugged into a control unit on this side. We have removed both control units. However, we've got to figure out how to get that wiring out of where it is. It kind of loops in and it goes in with the hoses, and they put the wiring in first before they put the hoses in, and you need all of that area to pull that wire harness out. So we're trying to figure out if we want to sacrifice the harness or not, or pull all the hoses out, then the harness. So one option is to just cut the harness and pull the wires out and leave the plugs on the other side. So we ended up unloading all of these pallets that had the hoses and the wiring and everything else in it. So we've got everything all laid out here. Almost looks like a flea market sale, huh? Yeah. So this way we'll be able to tell exactly what we have here rather than searching through the boxes. We've got things counted out. We kind of know what's what. The handy thing is all the hoses, everything's got a part number on it. So once we source the directions, we can kind of line up the part numbers with the appropriate wire harness, part, hose, what have you. So we've got a fair amount of work left here, but we're getting there. It's coming together. Once we get this fertilizer pump on there, then we could decide what we're going to do with the old wire harness. Then we could start plugging all of the new harnesses and the new hoses in. Why don't we get this pump on there, and then we'll do an unwrapping event of that item that is on that pallet over there. I think some of you have already kind of know what it is. I kind of showed it a little bit in the last video here, so we better get to work, right? Do you think we ought to source the directions on how that goes on there, or do you think we can figure it out? All right. We haven't really sourced the directions too awful much yet, so we'll see if we can't get this on there. It's going to bolt right onto this frame here. So it's going to bolt in here, and it's going to kind of sit over top of the wheel. All right, we got this fertilizer unit all on there. That bolted up pretty easy. Seems to be a little flimsy though. I don't know how far out the hoppers are gonna stick. They're gonna come to about here. Hopefully they block this pretty good, or I'm gonna be walking into this damn thing, putting seed in. So that's gonna be fun. We've got some various touch switches here. We'll have to figure out what that's all about once we get it fired up and running here. So it kind of works nice that it is right there, and the hoses coming from the tank and kind of just plug into it, and it can just kind of work like so. So why don't we go ahead and open this up. Go ahead and drop a comment down below if you can figure out what this is. It's not too all pressing to get this thing opened, but we don't really need it right at the moment. But we'll go ahead and unwrap it, I guess, and then we'll get back to working on this corn planter here. What do you think it is? Do you know what it is?
I know what it is.
You know what it is? Get those yellow shears with it. Yeah. Just cut these things. Remember the pliers are. Yep. Yeah. All right, so this is what we've got. This is a press right 50-ton hydraulic press, foot operated. Now I wanted one that, what? Wow. I wanted one that was adjustable from side to side. And I was just going to tell you that I couldn't find one, but this one is adjustable from side to side, which that's handy if you have something really heavy and you've got all your might just to get it up on the deck. The last thing that you want to have to worry about is whether or not you have it setting right. And for some reason, I didn't think this one was adjustable. I thought it was stationary, which would be okay. It's manageable, but it has an adjustable deck height. It has a crank winch on the side. Get some tension on that, pull your pegs, move them as you go, higher or lower. Now I've got to get some plates to set on the deck here to do various things, but we'll get that situated here once we get this thing up and running. What I would like to do is build a frame for it so that we can use the pallet jack or the forklift on it to move it out, maybe out in the middle of the floor if we're handling something heavy, and go at it that way. Now what they should have done is they should have mounted this handle backwards or put it in the box with the pump itself. The handle got injured during shipping here, and we're gonna have to take it off and adjust it in the vise here. It's got some marring here, but these trucking companies, they don't care really what they're handling. The you know, they slam bang things in a pretty good hurry. I ordered this better than a month or 6 weeks ago off of eBay. It was a decent price. However, they were waiting on some component and it delayed the delivery here of it for quite a while. Now there was other options. There was the air operated hydraulic unit, but I figured the foot operated is going to be just fine. Go ahead and run that foot pump there, will you? Now you might want to put it on the floor. Okay, silly me. Couple of things here. It's been so long since I've ordered this, I kind of forgot what I had. The one thing I didn't know was this top part was adjustable. When I opened it up and seen the foot pump, I thought what I ordered was one that had a pneumatic switch on the side running with air. I see the foot pump and I said, well, what we have here is a mechanical foot operated hydraulic pump, kind of like a bottle jack that has the handle to it, or you can hook air to it and run it with an air switch. I thought, just by looking at that quick, that we had a foot pump, but it's actually an air operated unit. So we've got an air hose hooked up. I was actually going to go in and look on the internet and see what the description of this thing was and go from there. But I think the foot pump is a little better than a switch on here. Therefore, you can use both hands to hold the object that you're trying to press. So go ahead and hit that foot pump to activate the so this is similar to a bottle jack here, so that's just going to activate, and run it the other way to release. And what you would do is actually have this on this side so you can read your gauge. So we're going to talk to this gentleman here. It's one of Casanovia's top mechanics. He's come in to check on us to see how we're doing on this corn planter, and we've got to get a review from him quick here. So we're going to go ahead and talk to him, and we'll join back up with you in a little while here. Well, we just finished pulling the wire harness off of the planter completely. We'll show you what everything looks like in a box. Although we do have two harnesses running down through this tube on the outer side of this right hand frame rail and the left hand frame rail, and it comes up into the hitch bulkhead here, and it runs back through here, and it would have plugged into a control box over in there somewhere. I can't exactly get this out through the frame right at the moment, and I don't want to go to the trouble of removing the hoses and everything to pull that harness out and then find out that there's something wrong and we actually need it. I'm not too worried about that at this point, but I don't want to go through all the extra work of getting it out in case we need it. Now what we have to do now is put these stainless tubes on for the fertilizer manifold assembly for the wings. So we're running in furrow, or not in furrow up front, but we're running the side-by-side up front off of that pump that we just put on. We've got to start setting up our brackets and whatever. So that's what we're going to be working on now. We'll go ahead and show you what this wire harness looks like all neatly thrown in this box here. And that is a lot of wiring. But you could see that we have quite a bit of new wiring to go ahead and put on. So we're going to be working on getting some brackets mounted and start hooking in the fertilizer unit, and then we'll work into getting the harnesses put on for the row units, and then we'll start working on the hydraulic hoses. But we got to pay real good attention to what we're doing from here on out. And I've got an iPad over there that I'm going to be using for directions. So we'll join up with you in a little while here once we get things setting into place, right? Yeah, that wire harness was fun digging out of there, wasn't it? I'm fairly confident at this point that none of that old harness was needed, but we're going to soon find out here. So we'll join up with you in a little while here. All right, we are getting ready to call it quits for this video here. We ended up getting the fertilizer pump on there, and then we just got done hooking up all of the in-furrow fertilizer lines. There is a manifold for a pair of rows. So there's 8 of these modules on here, and then each row is going to be able to be individually turned on or off, whereas before the fertilizer on the in-furrow unit here was on all the time. Now we are running an in-furrow product back down through the seed firmers, and that product comes out of that front tank. That mechanism was mounted right here, a little electric pump. We're only putting about 4 gallons to the acre on with that. However, I had to take that off so that we could put this stainless steel line on here for the side-by-side, if you will. So we've got to get that on. Like I said, we've got all these lines hooked up. Everything is kind of loosely tied for right at the moment because we want to see how things react when the planter folds and unfolds. We are putting brand new closing wheels on. Sarah's working on them right now. These were just delivered from Schaefer. We have run these. I think this is going to be the 4th year. The first couple of years we ran the wheels that have the plastic in the center. Those are no good. The all steel ones are better. The plastic ones had just the outside part of this wheel was steel and the rest of the insert was plastic. Kind of like the rubber wheels that come with the planter. So she's got a few rows left here to do, and then that'll do it for the main heavy hard components, if you will. And the rest of what we have to install on this planter is hoses and wiring. So we will catch you at the next video. I want to thank everybody for watching, and when we join back up with you, we will be doing the wiring and the hoses on the planter. And like I said, I need to find a new way to mount that in-furrow unit on there, whether I mount it in the same spot, just step it back a ways or what have you. But this is all of the fun that we have left to do here. So we're gonna have to dig into the directions here on the iPad, and what we are able to do is, because these directions are for a CCS planter, we can, I'll show you that it shows the tanks here. Well, here's the seed tubes here. We can go in here. John Deere's given us the ability to help them along with their directions. We can come in here and you know, tell them, hey, this here is wrong, need redoing, and then I need to send them some pictures and they can go through and redo this. So that just allows us to change things as we go along here, as we find problems with what they have designed here. And I can kind of show you something. I've got to find the page. It's where the stainless steel line is here, and they had it mounted to the back side of the toolbar, and they don't have they did not take into consideration that the vacuum tube is there. I'm trying to find here we go. I think it's this next page here. See, they have this stainless line mounted on the back side of the metal support arms here that are mounted to the toolbar. Can't mount fert tube on rear. So we made a note there, and they'll change that. And I'll show you what the reason why that doesn't work. On their illustration, they don't show, and I got an idea when they were putting their unit together, they didn't have the vacuum unit on the planter. Now, they showed this here mounted to the back side. Well, if we had that mounted to the back side, this little valve assembly here would be right where the vacuum line goes. So we made a note, they'll change that for the future kits that get put together. And if somebody was doing things in order in which they need to be done, they would have this all on there, and then they would realize that their vacuum tube is in the wrong spot. So that is going to do it for this video, folks. I want to thank you for watching, and we will catch you at the next video.